sense. I might pay you. Make it make sense. I might pay you.
Make it make sense. Make it, baby. Make it make sense. Come on, make it make sense. Come on, make it, baby. Make it make sense. Come on, make it.
What's good, y'all? Let's Make Sense of It podcast. Back for another week. And like we always say, Ash,
the truth you don't want to hear,
but it's the truth that you need to hear. And as you know, I go by the Bull Vance.
I go by Ash.
Back again for another week, Ash.
Episode 2.
Yes, episode 2, back again. You know, we survived the first episode. You know, we didn't melt, none of that. We survived for another episode, so we back again. And starting this show off, you know, we're gonna start off a little different because last week, you know, it was we were just kind of rambling, trying to get everything going, but we're actually gonna have themes of the show. And this week's theme of the show is laying foundations. So, you know, as the show goes on, that'll be a common theme throughout this show. So we want to put that out there so y'all know it's gonna be themes of the show and all that good stuff. So now that that's out the way, make sure y'all follow us on IG, Let's Make Sense of It Podcast _. Make sure y'all subscribe to us on YouTube at Let's Make Sense of It Podcast. All you got to do is type in Let's Make Sense of It Podcast, and it literally pops up. Like,
don't be
lazy.
lazy.
I get all crazy, y'all.
Don't be lazy.
Exactly. And subscribe. The important thing about subscribing on Apple, Spotify, all of that is that the more you subscribe, the more we show up in these searches and directories and everything. So make sure y'all subscribe on all platforms.
We appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate it. So, start off with a quote. And I quote, it says, "Y'all be needing men. That's why y'all try so hard. I really don't be giving a fuck if a man leave today, because the only thing that's going to change is he was here and now he's not." Now, off that quote, let's start there because that sounds like a broken female, number one. Like that, not broken, but how do I explain it? It sounds like a female that's already had her mind made up that no matter what man comes along, she's not gonna really need him for nothing. So it's already putting that into the air. She already laid that foundation that a man could come, a man can go. I'm still gonna be the same me. And it's nothing wrong with that. But when you have that mindset, you're already going into any and every situation thinking that way, that, all right, if this don't work out, I don't care. Or no matter what the man brings to the table, doesn't matter. He could leave tomorrow and I'm back to where I'm at.
I mean, I think everybody should have that mentality. I think it's all how she worded it. That's it. I think that just messes it up, because you should always have that mentality. Like, not just coming from a woman's standpoint, but from a man's standpoint too. Like, if you lose your girlfriend, your wife today or tomorrow, like, you should still be you. Like, you should still have your own foundation and not just, you know, with what y'all built together. Because that's the only thing you're losing. If y'all built something together and she leaves or he leaves, that's the only thing you're losing is what y'all built together. Right. You know, so you should always, like, that's like when you get into a relationship with somebody and then you start to lose yourself in that relationship. And so that means the only way that topic or that quote will go out the window is you lose yourself in a relationship. Then when they leave, you lose a piece of yourself. Right. So now you got to spend a hard time trying to find that piece of yourself. But if you stay whole throughout the relationship, then you won't have to worry about it.
Right. It's the equivalent of, like you said, you both having something. So it's the equivalent of, let me use the house analogy. Like you have the base, you have the concrete. That's as if the guy comes in, he brings the actual walls, the actual doors, the stuff like that. Like, you already had a solid foundation. You might have had this, but the guy comes along, you know, he brings something to the table. He doesn't just bring just bullshit, but then he leaves and the house is still standing. Like he had a part of the house. He might have had a piece of furniture in the house, but he left, and I was like, all right, he took that, but my house is still standing. And I don't think nobody necessarily needs anybody, number one.
You're definitely right about that. But I mean, like you said, if you come into the relationship, if she had a foundation where you got there, and then he comes into the relationship and he puts up the walls and windows and the doors, when he leaves, that is no longer a house.
This is true.
So all she has left is her foundation, unless he's leaving and letting her keep these things. Right. That's the thing.
Or if he came along and he didn't have anything.
That is very true.
And she already established that she built all of this. Like, she had all of that. She just needed somebody to come in. Maybe you need the finishing touches in the house.
Yeah, so that means if she already had all of it, that means when he came in, he didn't build her the house. All he did was probably add some furniture to it. So that comes into the mindset that you'll be like, well, I mean, I don't need him because I can just buy new furniture. So that's like I can get a new man or I can get a new woman. Like all I can do. So basically, the foundation is not the base. The foundation is the house. The foundation is the entire house in itself, because what somebody brings to you, you don't want to, when they take it away from you, you don't want it to beat you, have you at fault or have you, you know, destitute.
Right.
So if he comes in and he's building the rest of the house, when he leaves, he's taking that with him. So all she has left is a foundation. Yeah, she can rebuild, but it takes longer.
Right.
So if you're already the house built, you're already insulated and everything like that, all you need is somebody to come in and basically put up fresh new paint, wallpaper, new carpet, or hardwood floors and new furniture. You can always get that.
Yeah. That's true.
Like, no matter, like, you know, a lot of times time doesn't mean anything. So it's just
very much true.
It's whatever you're going to get in that time frame is you're going to get.
Very much true. Another one. As a female, you shouldn't be dealing with a man you have to ask to take you on dates, get you flowers, anything. That's literally the bare minimum. Now, that's very true. I had a quote in here. It says, after the... A man will show you his intentions within 30 days of dating you. You agree with that?
I mean, yeah. It's okay. It's a reason why I don't agree with, like, the first, like, before the quote, like, the actual, like, question or whatever, is because some guys are slow, okay? And they are slow to start. So a guy might start off, he shows interest in you and everything like that. Now you want to go on a date. But he's kind of slow to start to act you on a date. But he wants to go on that date. He just doesn't know how to act you.
Right.
So you'll come out and say, like, hey, let's go to such and such and such and such. He might be jumping for joy that you broke the seal to exit. So now he can either plan it or he can be like, yeah, for sure. Then when you get there, he pays for everything. That's your date.
Right.
All you had to do is break the seal, because some guys are slow to start.
Right. But some women don't want to break that seal.
That's
because they feel as though they're chasing. And they might not be chasing, but in their mind, they feel as though, oh no, well, he should take care of that. Why? What are we doing? Like, why do I have to be the one to break that seal? But
it all depends. Is it's like if he didn't break the seal and ask you on a date or whatever, and your first thought is to be like, well, I'm not chasing him. He showed interest first. Like, he should be, you know, doing the rest. It all depends on how it comes off. If he didn't ask you on a date and you decide to initiate that date for him to ask, and he like, oh, I don't care about that. I don't care. Like, we can do whatever. Then it's like that. You might want to, you know, tread lightly with that nigga. But if you ask him about a date, and he be like, yeah, sure, we can go out this day. I'm free this day. Right. You know, do you like this type of food? Do you like this, that, and the third? Like, if he's engaging you in that conversation, there should be no problem with you going on that date. There should be no problem with you moving forward with that guy.
Sometimes guys, the women will initiate and then the guy never follows through.
That is very true too.
Or the guy he'll throw hints out there, or not even hints. He'll ask the female, you know, what type of food you like. He'll get the whole rundown and just never put it in motion.
I mean, and then that's just the nigga that he is.
That's just
because why would you ask me all these questions about my interests and my likes and dislikes if you ain't gonna do nothing about it? Right. Like, I mean, every girl doesn't like flowers or whatever case. I can't do flowers; they're gonna die because I'm gonna forget to water them. So it's a pretty gesture when you first give it to me, but they're gonna die. So, what are we gonna do then? If you come to me and be like, "I bought you buffalo wings," thank you very much, because these are gonna go to good use.
He gave you a buffalo bouquet.
Go to good use. Like, I'm just saying, you have to. It's just like you got to know the speed of the nigga you dealing with. So if he approached you on the street and got your number and y'all exchanged conversation, everything like that, and for a month y'all don't really like see each other or anything like that, like, I mean, you might want to throw him a bone. Right. You might.
Let me ask you that off of what you just said. You know, he might ask for your number in the street. Is there a certain place where a guy approaches females and females be like, they don't want to give him any type of interest because of the particular place that they approached them?
I don't think it's a place.
Because I always hear chicks say, don't approach me in the supermarket.
I don't give a fuck. I mean, I don't understand. Like, I saw a post about that today, like, don't approach me in a supermarket. I was like, what's wrong with approaching me in a supermarket? Because niggas will try to talk to you when you got a scarf on, a bonnet, a wig, a hat. It doesn't matter. Bald-headed, looking a hot-ass mess, they'll try to approach you and talk to you because something they see, even if you look a mess, they see that maybe outside of this, you look like something different. I'm gonna approach you because I find you attractive in some type of way.
Right.
Like as simple as that. I don't understand who came up with this stigma as a female. Don't approach me in a fucking grocery store. It's a grocery store.
They probably look at it as one or two things. Either he's in here shopping for somebody, because they look at as guys just don't go to the supermarket. That's probably what most females
I
think.
honestly don't trust niggas at the supermarket.
See, why is that?
Because they can't shop. That's why I don't trust
No,
niggas
because
at the
niggas-
supermarket. they'll pick up the highest motherfucking thing. You be like, you ain't see that bacon was $3.99, but you picked up the $8.99 Oscar Mayer. Jimmy Dean is just as
That's
good.
because females gotta overcomplicate everything.
That's not overcomplicated.
It is.
It's not.
You go to a mall with a female, y'all gotta
I
2
give you-
hours in this.
I give
Niggas
you-
go in the mall, they
listen.
know what we want. We go in, we get it, we get the fuck out.
This is a sidebar. I went to the market for the first time with my boyfriend maybe a month or two ago.
Right.
Went to the market. Now this is the big market shopping, so everything need to be stocked up. The freezer, the
Oh, it's one of those
pantry,
days. I know those days.
So I was like, I'm gonna take you with me because I know I'm gonna need 2 carts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
2 carts.
Yeah, I need 2 carts.
God
When it was just
damn.
me, I needed 1 cart. But now I got another person. It's like, all right, I need 2 carts.
What fucking food y'all eating in there?
I eat a lot.
God
okay.
damn.
And I need to make sure that I have. At least I need to make sure that my freezer is stacked.
Right.
If my
Go
freezer
ahead.
is packed, I'll be good. So we're in the market and he's picking up stuff, but he's not looking at the price of it. So I'm like taking it out the cart.
And
And
he's probably
then
wondering
after
what
like the
happened
third time, he realizes why you keep taking stuff out because you're not looking at the price of it. Because then when I get to the register, I'm wondering why my bill went from maybe 3 something to 5 something.
Right.
Why is it? So it's just like that's the point. I'm like, I don't trust you going to the market by yourself because I know you probably will get everything I asked for, but you're gonna spend double the money.
So-
and it's gonna be like,
So if it's a guy, if it's a guy in there, that's one of the reasons why you don't trust the guy talking to a guy.
if you come up to me in the, I mean not now, but beforehand, if you
Right.
came up to me in the supermarket, I'm not gonna be like, oh, get away from me.
Right.
It's like if
Get
I
away
want
from
to
me,
talk to you,
creep.
I'm gonna talk to you. Every girl knows that they talking about what guys interested in you in 30 days. They'll show this thing. Every girl knows that when a guy approaches her, if she's gonna give them if she's gonna give him her number or not.
Okay.
As simple as that. You already have it in your head. When he's trying to talk to you, even them guys that be like riding past in the car, they be like, oh, shorty, what's your name? Da-da-da. You know if you're going to give that guy some play or not.
Right.
Not some ass, some play.
Right.
It's a difference. You can go to like the second instance after that. But you're going to know you can give him play or not and talk to him, text him, or if you're going to give him your number or even give him the time of day.
Right.
Even if you don't plan on taking it any further, you're going to know you're going to play with this nigga and get messages,
So
or you're
chicks
going to
be-
take him seriously.
Chicks be premeditated. You already know.
You already know.
I thought chicks know they want to fuck a guy when they first meet him.
Is that true?
No.
It's not true.
I don't know if I want to fuck you when I first meet you.
Right.
That's why I said the second instance. So
Okay.
it might be our second time meeting or a conversation we had. Then I'll know from there, like,
Right.
if I want to give you some ass or not.
Gotcha.
If I think it's worth it. Because
I'm crying.
Yeah.
All right. What's some? Let's start this. Let me ask you this. So, dating foundations. What's some bad foundations women put out there when they're dating, as far as the type of men they go after, or the type of standard they set when they first start dating a man?
if you go out there with unrealistic standards, like everybody's standards is different, but everybody has the same kind of basic like standards that you want. But if you go out there with unrealistic standards, like I said, if you want somebody like, oh, I need somebody college educated, and you're not college educated, why do you need somebody college educated? Like, what showed you that I need somebody college educated even though I'm not college educated? What standard? What got you to that point to want this standard?
Is this a bad dating foundation? The chicks that say they don't want to deal with the 9-to-5 guy, but they want to deal with the guy in jail. Is that setting a bad standard?
Yes, that's stupid.
Why is that? Because some chicks will say just because they got 9-to-5 don't mean they're a good nigga, and I that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is he got a better chance of going in the right direction.
They only saying that because a nigga in jail ain't got shit to do.
Right.
But be on the phone with your ass. And that should be stupid because, bitch, you working a 9-to-5 and he's on the phone. You want to be on the phone with him all fucking day? For
Right.
what? What are y'all talking about? What he did on the yard again? He did the same shit yesterday.
Right.
What he ate for lunch is shit. So what do you, like, I'm not understanding. So the 9-to-5 guy, the only reason a female would say that is because she thinking that she should have all of his attention. And the 365 days a year, the 24 hours in a day, the 7 days a week, she should have all his attention. And if he's a 9-to-5 guy, I can't give you all my attention. You might have it on my first 15, my half an hour lunch, and my last 15. My beginning of the day, my end of the day. But I'm not going to be on the phone with you all fucking day. I'm not going to be texting you constantly all day. You're going to get a couple checkups here and there when I can.
Because you should be working. You should be just as busy as I am. If you texting me all day, like, what are you
Unless
doing
you
at work?
off.
Yeah, unless you're
Unless
off.
you in the house sick.
Right. Like, what do you take? What are you doing with your time at work that
that you got to be on the phone.
Now I'm questioning you. Are you really working?
Are you really working?
Yeah, because how do you got this much time to do all this, and this?
So you can't.
Is being too clingy early on a bad standard to set? Like right away, like you only been talking to each other for this amount of time and you already this clingy. What personally, I think as a guy that would be like, yeah, you care, but you're doing too much. Like you're doing too much.
I think it all depends on the guy or the girl. So if like she's a clingy type person and then early on he starts acting clingy, it's not gonna bother her. Right? If he's a clingy type person and early on she starts acting clingy, it's not gonna bother him. But if one of them don't like clingy, then it's gonna bother that person.
Right. Like
I don't really think that's not a standard. It's not a standard because at the end of the day, that's just something that's situational because one person may not like it, one person likes it. Right. So it all depends. Like your standard is what you're asking for in that relationship. So your standard is basically like when people say what you bringing to the table. That's your standard. What are you willing to allow and not allow? Right. Like, stuff like that. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, would a female coming from a female's perspective, would you buy a guy something early on in the dating, like as far as like just buy him something small?
Yeah. Okay. If I'm fucking with this guy, like I really like him, I'm definitely gonna buy him something if I want to. Right. But I'm not gonna be naive about it and buy him something and he shows no interest in ever buying me shit.
True. Very true. Or no interest in just nothing that you got going on.
Nothing I got going on. I'm not buying him a damn thing. Right. Like I'm gonna black the fuck off. Like.
What would be another dating a bad habit or a bad foundation or standard that a female will set early on that will scare a guy away?
Coming into it as I am the way I am accepted.
That's a good one.
You can't that for a girl or a guy, you cannot approach a relationship, a friendship, a co-workership, nothing like that. You can't walk into a job saying I am the way I am so accepted. You can't do that. You have to, as a human being, you evolve with the season, with the day, with the minute. So you're never going to be the same. You should never be the same person you were yesterday. Something in you should grow. Something in you should change. So you can't come into it saying, I am the way I am, you're going to accept it. Like, I like doing ratchet shit with my friends every Saturday. You have to accept it. Eventually, you got to grow the fuck out of that, bitch. Exactly. Because you ain't about to be having kids with me and trying to do this and the third. And every Saturday, you got to be at a fucking hood bar. Like, no, sis, we ain't doing it.
But on the other hand, some chicks will say, well, you met me when I was like this. So now that we've been together so long, what's the problem?
But that's only if y'all both stay the same. So are y'all both saying the same? So if I met you, say if a guy met a girl, she was a stripper. Right. Right? And when he met her, she was a stripper and, she enjoyed dancing. She likes it and everything like that. She wants to stay a stripper. That's the conversation y'all need to have early on. Now, early on, if she says, I'm only doing this for a certain amount of time because I'm trying to save up money, not for school. That's always a stereotype. Right. For I want to buy a house or I want to start my business. But once my business get jump started, I'm done with it. Right. And he's like, all right, sure. Like, I'm in school right now for this because I want to become this. So eventually, y'all had this conversation. So now the outcome is that somebody's starting a business, somebody's graduating a degree and going into what they went to school for.
So y'all had plans ahead of time. Like, y'all, this is what y'all going to do. Y'all had it
ahead of time.
Right.
So nobody can say, like, well, you met me like, so she can't go back and jump back into being a stripper once her business is up and started and doing good, because it's going to be like when she just say, like, oh, when you met me, I was a stripper. But when I met you, you had a plan to come out of that and you got out of it. Why would you go back to it?
Now, what if a guy, all right, so that's a good one. Now, say if you dress a certain way when a guy meets you and then now all of a sudden he's like, oh, where you going? Why are you wearing that?
He has a problem.
Why?
Because he has a problem. Like, why? If you met me, bro. Okay. It's a certain way that we're going to put it that way. If you met me and you saw that I was like kind of a little bit extra with like a lot of skin showing or everything like that. But when you met me, I was single. Right. So this is the type of shit that I can do because nobody's checking me. Right. I go home to my own shit. I got to worry about you. But when me and you together, we're in a relationship, then I might not be as naked. Right. But I might be a little naked.
You're still gonna dress how you want to dress.
Still gonna dress how I want to dress. But that's when you come into the conversation. That's when you have an adult conversation with your significant other and say like, okay, like, well, can we tweak this a little bit? Like, can you not go outside with the short shorts on with your ass cheek hanging out? But you can put on.
Hope so.
But you can put on booty shorts, but your ass is not hanging out. Like that is a compromise. That's what it is. Right. That's a compromise that you have. But if you go into the relationship and you were dressing that way and then you continue to dress that way, and then all of a sudden, randomly, one day he just jumps out and says, "Where you going? Why you dressing like that?" That starts the argument because we didn't have a conversation that you had a problem with this,
Right?
And now today you on 200, but we never had a conversation about you having a problem with it before,
Right.
So niggas have to understand that you can't jump at her for doing something that she's been doing if you don't say it bothers you. Or can we compromise something on the lines of how you're dressing?
Right.
It's simple as
so
that.
that's different. I just was trying to make sure that those two things were different because you said the thing on the one hand, but then on the other hand, when it comes to like dressing and stuff, that's completely different as far as
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, it's very much
Women like,
very much different.
but back to what we just said. We just said about a female how she says I'll come as I am. This quote says, "If you're looking for a man that can handle you, you probably don't bring peace." So you would agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. I don't want a nigga that don't bring me peace.
Right.
Because I don't want a guy to come in a relationship, well, that's just how I've been, and that's just what it is. Because I don't have nothing to do with that. Like, your mother should have raised you, honey. I'm not raising you.
Right. Don't bring yesterday's problems. Don't bring yesterday's issues and make them today's problems.
Yeah, don't. If you know you had, like, if you know you had communication issues, like you don't know how to communicate properly, and then you get to me and you're just like, well, I never did that, so and you kind of brushing it off like you don't want to change it, now we have a problem because we're adults. You're going to communicate properly. But if you come and say, well, I've never done that, nobody's ever communicated with me like that, but I'll work on it.
Right.
Oh, now we don't have a problem because we're solving it. But you can't go into anything saying I am the way I am accepted. There's only certain things within your personality and your character that you can keep the same, and it won't be a problem. Like if you're a goofy person, you can keep that the same. You just have to know when it's too much and when it's just enough.
Right.
You have to know that.
That shit get annoying. All right, bro, I'm done.
I'm done with this
we
shit.
ain't gonna keep doing this though.
If you like, I'm a bossy person, but I know who I can be bossy with and show them that side, and who I might have to scale it back with because everybody can't accept it or it's too much for them.
Right.
You just have to know what you have to reel back on, but you can't go in like, well, I'm toxic and like, I'm used to my niggas, manhandling.
Used to
like
that word right there. Don't ever hit anybody with the used to, because that used to those two words used to is used
in
to
the past.
in the past. That means when people say, "Oh, I'm not living in the past. I'm not that," and then the next statement say, "Well, I'm used to." You kind of are still living in the past. Like that's living in the past because you say, "Oh, I'm used to this. I'm used to doing this. Used to doing that." No, like you need to figure it out. Like,
I have a question.
Yes.
So we talked about relationships. We need a solid foundation for a friendship because I feel like people don't know how to be friends.
right.
And you only had like, I think our generation only has like the friends we have today unless we went to college or we still got childhood friends that we're still cool with.
That's so true.
But it's just like it's hard to making a friend as an adult outside of those things.
So you it's very hard making friends as an adult. I've always learned that making friends, you usually end up meeting people and they end up becoming your friends. Like you usually end up maybe going to an event, or some of the best friendships be the ones that just come out of nowhere. You could be sitting at a bar, you just chopping it up with somebody. You could be like in my apprentice class. One of my best friends, I met him in my apprentice school. Like just out of nowhere, he was older than me, but he always looked at me as like his little brother. Like that was like a major friendship I had. Like friendship foundation. It's hard to make friends nowadays because it's hard to trust people because so many people are so broken that somebody could come along and they could be a great friend, but they like people just like they call them dick eaters.
Yeah.
That's what they call them. They call them dick eaters. Honestly, like I don't know. That's a Philly term, but that's what. Because I feel like especially in Philly, it's probably a lot harder to make friends because people don't trust anybody.
That's true.
People don't even trust the chicks they try to deal with. So you think they're going to trust a friend? Just think about that. Like it's hard enough for them to want to date chicks here, let alone try to make friends here. And most of the time, not most of the time, some of the time, you see the friend groups is either they've been close for, like you said, for years. They're like family related, or it's just a couple people. Like there's never really no new friends that's been around for this little small bit of time. And it's good people out here that you never know who you're gonna meet. That one person you meet might end up turning into your best friend.
I mean, I just feel as though when you make a friend, just like if you going into a relationship, it's very hard to be like tread lightly because you don't want to handle everybody with like gloves on.
Right.
Like, and I don't want to touch that. Like you don't want to do that, but you also have to kind of feel people's energies. Like a lot of people ignore flags and shit like that, so they wind up getting burned because you ignore that shit.
Or you tell them too much too soon.
Yeah, you tell them too much too soon. Like feel them out and see what they're gonna give you. Just as well as when you're trying to start a relationship with somebody, feel them out and see if they're gonna be worth it.
You can feel the vibe.
You can feel somebody's energy.
Right.
You'll know like this shit makes me feel real uncomfortable,
right,
and everything like that. Like when you're younger, you probably won't get it as fast. You'll just get them like they're being mean or they being like bitchy or these niggas is weird, sit like that, stuff like that. You don't go big off energy when you're like younger.
Right.
But when you're older and you're adult, you feel that energy. You know when you walk into a room, it's uncomfortable. You know it's not welcoming.
Yeah, you can feel some
and
tension.
And you kind of just like, what the fuck is this? Like, whatever case. So it's just like, I don't know. When you trying to find, and I'm not saying everybody's out here trying to find friends, but sometimes you have the same friends and they don't take you anywhere.
Right.
Y'all have childhood friends or even sometimes college friends, work friends, even, and they're not elevating you. Y'all not elevating each other. Like the conversations are the same shit. So what are you doing after that? Like you always should have at least the open idea to inviting new people into your life to see what they can bring out of you or where they can take you to the next level in your life. Or you just gonna be stagnant constantly. Right. You chilling with the same niggas on the same block. Doing the same shit every day.
You never gonna elevate yourself.
All y'all talking about y'all shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and y'all talking about this bitch that you fucked or this like this shit is the same conversation over and over again.
Because sometimes those friends you hang with, and then you might go along meet somebody, and they might make your mind work, and you go to a whole different. You go to a whole different level. Now your friends that they feel like you're acting different, but you're really growing.
You're growing.
Yeah,
and that's
people don't like when you grow.
And that's the thing, and that's a big thing in Philly too. When they see it be like it's a lot of times niggas, but it's both niggas and females. When they see their friends growing, they feel as though they acting different, or you acting shady, or something like that. And it's just like, no, I'm just growing,
right?
And it's not so much outgrowing you. It's just that I have newer people that are kind of taking me to a new level in my life. And then I still have those memories and everything with y'all, but the conversations I have with them, I can't have with y'all because y'all not there yet.
Right. Or y'all not thinking that way. Y'all thinking about that way.
So it's
completely different. Yeah.
It's nothing. I can't do anything about that because when I talk to y'all about it, you ignore it.
Right.
Or you bypass it. You shove that to the side. You don't even want to hear that shit.
Exactly.
So what I'm supposed to do now?
Exactly. Now, when you get into a relationship foundations, as far as, I'll give you one that I do all the time. I feel like it has to be date night at least once a week. Personally, that's just how I feel. Because I feel like you gotta keep, especially being with somebody for so long, you gotta keep up what you be doing. Like I still send flowers. I still do these things because I feel like when I started off, I did them, and all these years later, I still do the same thing.
Right.
Because I think some people, they get into a relationship, it's all good in the beginning, but they're not trying to keep that same spark. Like eventually, you run the same person, so you're gonna eventually get tired of the same. You're gonna get tired of them. You love the person, but eventually you're gonna get tired of them. But you gotta still keep that same energy, pretty much.
Right. And
I don't think some dudes do that, and I don't think some females get on dudes to keep doing that. Like I think some females and some males, they get content of being where they at, but really they're just miserable because they don't want to start an argument. They don't want to have a conversation. They feel the type of way like, oh, you don't take me out no more. You don't give me flowers no more. We don't do what we used to do no more. And that'll really eat somebody up inside,
right? And
then that'll turn into something completely like what it don't need to get to.
Well, yeah. I mean, I definitely think you should have certain things in your relationship or in you that you bring to your relationship that you want to keep up. Because when people get to a certain time in their relationships, if they've been dating for years, they'll say like, "Oh, it's hard," and everything like that. We don't communicate no more, and we don't do this no more. And it's just like, well, what are you doing to try to make those things better? And sometimes it's like after they have kids, they start to like feel like they losing what they had beforehand, and it's just like you shouldn't lose that. You should always keep that.
Yeah, if anything,
and you should. All you're doing is adding a family to that.
Exactly.
That's all you're doing. You're adding family to that. So it should just be another bracket on your life. On your life tree, that should be another bracket. Now you added family to it. So this is just another branch.
Exactly.
But it shouldn't take away that root of what you have. So if you have a good relationship with your significant other, then you need to do date nights. You need to do weekend vacations sometimes, or you need to get away, or whatever case to me, or you need to like kick the kids out and do something, then you should do it. Right. But you also should communicate with your partner, and that's why I call them temperature checks. So it's just, what are we like? What's going on? Like even if we ain't have to have an argument or nothing like that, it's just a temperature check. Like I'm not saying you gotta do it every week, but every so often, hey, like, how you feeling? Like, you know, is there anything we should work on? Do you think I'm doing something wrong? Is it something that you want to talk about that you feel as though we can do better? Is something that you want to add to our relationship? Like, talk that out, and you do that with a person, it's so much more better for your relationship in the end.
Right. Because it'd be, like I said, a lot of people, there's no communication. There's zero communication relationships no more. And that's why a lot of single people look at relationships and they be like, nah, I don't want to do it because I see it looks good online. Everything looks good online. Like, it looks good, but
the pictures,
when you know,
nice quality.
Exactly. But when you, behind the scenes, you know what's really going on. It's a lot going on. You realize that person really isn't happy, but they portraying this image online that everything's good. Everybody's commenting, you look good, but really behind the scenes, it's been arguments every day. It's been problems. Like I said, people don't want to have conversations. Now, our 2 cents segment. We got a segment for y'all. Now, we're going to have a call-in line where y'all can call in, leave a message. And at this very point, the time of the show, we're going to play the message. Now, when we get that number, we're going to give it out. It'll be up before the next episode. Trust us. So, I just got a question today. Or I got a scenario. So basically, the 2 segment it's kind of like a messy segment in so many words. Like we want y'all to call in with some messy ass.
Our messy shit.
Exactly. We want y'all to come in with some real messy ass
shit,
topics
you
that we
stay
can.
anonymous. And
Yeah, you ain't gotta say your name. You know what I'm saying?
So it could be some wild shit that you probably ain't want to tell nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Some
know,
shit you did.
Safe space.
Some shit you heard. Anything along those lines. So, but for now, I got one, and we're gonna put our 2 cents in there. So I got one. I think you got one. You got one for me?
A messy one.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna give you this one. You think of something.
Okay,
You think of something. So
one.
this one says, the chick says she got an invitation to her cousin's wedding. Now, she's getting married to the man that she was engaged to. He cheated on this chick with her.
Okay.
Now, her aunt, who is the cousin's mom, is trying to convince her to go to the wedding because family is all we have. Now, what's your thoughts on that?
My aunt, my cousin, they can all kiss my ass. I'm not going to this wedding. If I do come to this wedding, I'm ruining the entire thing. Nobody's happy day. Because what the hell?
Yeah, what? First of all, all right, let's unpack this situation. Number one,
or maybe I gotta ask questions like, is this like a close cousin?
We're gonna say it's a close cousin just to make it more messier.
If this is a close cousin, then yeah, this bitch.
Let's say it's your first cousin.
Oh, she can kick motherfucking rock.
Let's say it's your first cousin.
Cause you got cousins like we talking.
Yeah,
you got family that's just family. You don't really fuck with them, so it's just like if I broke up with this dude and then she started dating him, I'll go to the wedding. It's like, all right, cool. Like I don't even give a fuck.
Right.
But if it's a close cousin, it's like, bitch, like you couldn't go to another nigga. Like you couldn't find you another nigga.
Like that was the one.
That was the one. And then again, this is another aspect. It all depends on what me and this nigga. If me and this nigga was just fucking, and maybe Netflix and chilling every now and then.
Right, that's one thing. But
then I don't give a fuck. But if you knew he was in a relationship,
she said he cheated on her. That means they was in a relationship.
You can definitely cousin fuck her.
Yeah, like that family shit went out the
Fuck
window.
Her,
that don't mean
the aunt, the cousin, all of them, the whole family that's at the fucking wedding thinking this is okay. Fuck them.
No, honestly, that's the problem because it's a lot of people that approve this scenario. And that's the fucked up part. Like it's probably family in the wedding.
Yep.
And they know who the guy is. But sometimes family don't want to say shit because they don't want to get into it. But don't. More power to them. We not doing that. What kind of? No, not at all. No. I want y'all to call in with these messy ass topics, please. Because we gonna have a ball with these. I know y'all waiting. I know people got some shit. Listen, it don't have to be about you. It could be about your girlfriend dealing with some shit.
This could be a scenario that you
thought of. It could be a scenario that you thought of.
And you just was just like wrecking your brain about it. You just wanted somebody else's opinion. We got you for it.
Leave that message because we gonna get into it. We gonna have some fun with that one.
I can't.
Now, this quote says, the guy says the chick says she's convinced it's women that are keeping women single. It says, it's these women with this weak ass advice giving chicks, or these women with this weak ass advice giving these single women with weak ass advice, and they're bitter and they're giving advice to other women, and that's what's keeping them single.
Yeah. Oh, that's a definite. I agree.
You think it's a lot of? You think it's
a lot?
I think it is. I think it's a
lot of women out here that are single because their bitter friends are giving them the advice that they wouldn't take their damn selves.
Right.
Like your friend telling you, this is a number one. Your friend telling you to leave that nigga alone. because he did X, Y, and Z to you. You venting to her. She's telling you, leave that nigga alone, leave him alone. But she's still messing with the nigga that she shouldn't be dealing with, that you talk to her about not dealing with, but she's still dealing with, even when she's dealing with him privately or publicly, regardless. If you know about it or not, and she's still dealing with him. That's just two ends of the same fucking stick. That's stupid. Right. There's no substance in it because she's not getting you anywhere. If she's gonna tell you to leave that guy alone, I would rather her say it to the point of saying, like, if this is not something that you want to deal with, if you know that if you saw somebody going through this and you'd be like, man, that's stupid. Don't put yourself through it. And a lot of that stuff can be easier said than done, and that is very much true. Everybody moves at their own pace. You move to the beat of your own drum. Right. But if you know deep down in your soul that you're unhappy, this is not something that you deserve, like you deserve better than that, then start with the process of admitting to yourself that this is not something you want. Everything starts with admitting it to yourself that it is not what you want or you want to change it. So start with that process and then move forward from there. I'm not saying you can't take advice from your friends because sometimes that advice is good, but sometimes they don't give you the whole context of the advice. Right. I would never want somebody to give me advice that they're not going to take in that situation. Because
listen, some people look at, some females and males too, they look at their advice as one-sided. People don't always want to give the two sides of it because they don't want to have to deal with the girlfriend that's, she going to act different or act weird or whatever. If you got that type of friend, then you probably shouldn't have that type of friend because you can't tell her don't give you no more advice then at that point. Like, tell her no more advice. Like, don't give me advice. Don't give me none of that. Because if you just gonna automatically feel a type of way when she's telling you the truth, like we say, the truth you don't always want to hear.
But you need it.
Exactly. Sometimes you need that truth. But you do. They don't want to hear that all the time.
Or people that'll go, or you can't sit there and tell me, oh, well, my parents have been married for 40-something years and my grandparents was married for 50-something years. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, the longevity is beautiful. If they still together, that is beautiful. If they have a solid foundation, that is beautiful. But give me the ins and outs of that relationship. Tell me if grandpa had a family around the corner. Tell me if your dad stepped out. Tell me if your dad was hot money, your mom was hot money. Tell me somebody had a drug problem, somebody got infidelity problems. Right. Give me the whole rundown. And then I can sit there and say to you, okay, that's nice that they moved on from that. Sometimes you don't always have to. Sometimes the answer is not always leaving, but sometimes the answer is leaving. Right. And you need to know when you're ready to go. Right. And when it's the right time to go. Like if you can't wait for somebody to give you the push to make a move.
And some people like to sit around and just wait for that push. Now let me ask you this: to the single females out here that think they're the full package, but they can't never keep a man. Explain that.
We went over that. Is something wrong with you?
Is it something they're doing, foundation wise, early on, that these males think, you know what? I'm cool. We definitely talked about this, but it's gotta be another layer to that. It just can't be that they're them. Like, say they're doing everything right. Like they're doing everything right. Like they're like not the perfect female, but they feel as though, what more can I do? Like they feel, better yet, they feel as though they're going to be single their whole life. Maybe they're not doing everything, but they get a feeling like, man, I'm gonna be single my whole life because I just don't know why.
I would say that you can't do everything right for somebody because even when you feel like you're doing something right, you're doing everything right, something is wrong.
Do you think?
And the thing that might be wrong might not actually be an action you're doing. You just may be the wrong person doing it.
Do you believe in dating karma?
Yes.
Like you went through all these dudes, like you had Mr. Right. Like you had him back in the day. Like you had Mr. Right.
And that might be, and it could be always, like it can be a timing thing.
True.
Like you had Mr. Right, but you weren't ready for Mr. Right.
Right.
So you kind of had to take that other, you had to take that exit. And you on the roads with these nothing ass niggas, and you feel like there's no end all be all. Like there's cats. There's nobody that's gonna be your knight in shining armor per se and everything like that. But like I said,
you got dirty nigga on some perks.
It goes for a guy too. You can say like, oh, I was a perfect guy for her and everything like that. But it's just you're not the right one at this moment. She's not ready for you, and she's not gonna give you what you need. You're gonna be miserable. And then it goes for the girl. If you're doing everything for this guy and he's not appreciating it, or he's not seeing it, or he's only appreciating it sometimes and not all the time, you're not the right woman for him in that moment. And that's just what it is. It doesn't mean you're gonna be single forever. There's somebody for everybody.
Yeah.
Just like they say, your soulmate doesn't always have to be a significant other. Sometimes your soulmate is a friend.
Right.
Because you have different walks of life in different moments.
It's funny you say about it's somebody for everybody because you'll see like a homeless person and they'll have a whole girlfriend.
Yeah.
Sleeping on the street.
Together.
It be like, but the funny part is it'll be chicks that'll say, I can't deal with a nigga that ain't got nothing on his own. That ain't got nothing. But it'll be a homeless motherfucker out there. Neither one of them got shit and they love each other unconditionally.
Because there's somebody for that person.
Yeah.
Now, for the guys that, you know, love toxic shit, there's a female for that. For the girls that love toxic shit, there's a guy for that. There's somebody for everybody. Now, whether that somebody is going to take you to hell or heaven, I don't know.
Right.
If they're going to take you through the wire, I don't know. But they're for you. So you just have to, sometimes you just got to let it go. Like, even if that's the person you want that person. You're doing everything for, and you know you're doing everything right. You want that person. But if that person is not appreciating it or reciprocating it, you have to let it go because you're not it. And it's not saying that you're less than. You never dim your light for someone else. You're not
Never
less
dim
than.
your light for somebody else.
You're not less than because this person isn't appreciating it. You just have to move on because somebody else is waiting to appreciate that. And a lot of people don't give people a chance because they'll say, oh, that's not my type. I'm not saying you gotta go so far at this type. If you like skinny niggas, I'm not telling you gotta date a fat nigga. I'm not.
Right.
I'm telling you might want to date a husky nigga or a little chunky nigga. That's perfectly okay. If you don't like short niggas, you like tall niggas. I'm not saying you gotta date a midget. Maybe you gotta date the nigga that's 5'7" instead of 6'2". I'm just saying.
Everybody want a ball player, man.
Sometimes
the average height of a guy is 5'9". Like, I don't know, these chicks be out.
I'm 5'2". I don't give a fuck. As long as you ain't 4'6" or something. I don't think
Got your kneecaps and
I don't
shit.
want you to be the same size as my god baby. That's we
man,
can't.
that's
What
what-
are we doing? Like, no. But you can't. Sometimes you have to tweak some of the things that you really want. Sometimes you have to tweak it a little bit. Not go so far off of what you want. I'm not saying if you really like tall guys, I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying date a midget. But you have to find a compromise with yourself somewhere in between.
Right.
Because you might be missing out on something that could really change your life. Because you looking at this end or that end.
Right.
There's no, you looking at black and white and you saying there's no in between, there's no gray area, there's no smidge of color.
Some
So it
people,
fucks you
but
up.
chicks don't want to come out. They want to, but you know how we say guys have egos and have pride. I don't think chicks sometimes want to put their pride to the side either.
Yeah. I mean, and then you think of the world judging you as well.
And that's, yeah.
You think of the world judging you as well. But like, you can really like this guy or whatever case may be. And it's just like, but
Because
you don't
the
want
world
to,
says,
because
yeah.
the world is saying something different, because the world has a standard that the world has.
Yeah, you're going by the
You're
world
going
standard.
by the world standard.
Even though you're saying, "Oh, I do my own thing," but you're really not doing your own thing because you're thinking in the
You
back
don't
of your
wanna-
mind,
You don't want to bring him to the cookout because your grandma and your uncles might say
right?
something. Or
Your cousins might start getting on him because what he wear or whatever.
Yeah, like he not flashy. He like, you know,
Right,
basic,
basic
like he
boy.
like wearing, you know, New Balances and shit because he really like them.
Right.
But you don't want to bring him around because everybody else is wearing Forces and Jordans and everything. But that's not his style.
Yeah, he let him have his style.
Let him have
Don't
his
worry
style.
about.
Now you can now I would say this though.
You can help him. You can encourage him to
help
change
him.
change
You
his
can encourage. Now if you dress a certain way and you like, it's not. I'm not saying materialistic and I'm not saying be like, you know,
Right.
that brand motherfucker.
But you
It's just,
can-
if you dress a certain way and then the way he dresses is like way off from what it should
Right.
look like. The contrast.
Same way, vice versa with the
Yeah.
males with females.
Yeah,
Sometimes
like
they
this-
be, you know.
If you a guy and you dress kind of modest or like you put that shit on when you put that shit on and every time she puts something on,
It ain't that shit.
her fucking nipples is showing. Then it's just like, all right, babe, maybe we gotta like add some other pieces in there to get
Right,
you a
right.
little bit more cultured. That's
Cultured.
That's
That's a good word. A
cultured.
little bit more cultured.
That's it. Like,
You get you a little bit more cultured.
yeah, a little bit more cultured, baby. Then and we be good. Then I can bring you around because you know. Then it's just like, all right, you contrast, like you match with me,
Right.
to a certain extent.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you don't want to get dressed in a ball gown and then this nigga got
Don't just
on
keep saying everything
a
looks good.
suit jacket,
Let's not-
baguette.
yeah,
He dressed
let's
like
not-
it's early
Exactly.
2000s. Like you
somebody
like,
pop and shit. You look old as shit.
That's not a thing.
He dressed like somebody pop. Oh my God. All right, let me ask you this, because this sounds like a hurt female. It says, I take pride in hurting niggas' feelings. It says niggas be thinking they so player until they run into they match. And it don't even be being about hoeing. Sometimes you gotta hurt a nigga ego. She sounds like
It's
she
like
sounds like
somebody
she's
got their
scarred.
feelings hurt.
Yeah, it sounded like she was.
Somebody got their
It sounded like
feelings hurt.
she's been scarred by a lot of dudes, and she's just gonna just try to. All right, so she already has in her mind, that the guy could do the littlest thing. Like it could be something. Maybe she caught him a small little flirt or a small little emoji or something right there. That's automatically triggered her. She's like, oh, you did that? Watch what I do. Now she want to flirt with 10 niggas. Not saying she fucking 10 niggas, but she want to flirt with 10 niggas. She want to be all dressing all crazy because she want the attention now. Like that's what she sound like. She sound like she
Definitely hurt.
She came across a lot of dudes, and you know what? That's a bad foundation too. And that's a bad standard to set because you was dealing with a bunch of ain't shit niggas, and the dude does the littlest things, and now you think he's an ain't shit nigga because he triggered that little part inside of you. So now you like fuck these niggas. I'm gonna do all this shit on my own. I don't need a nigga.
So I mean, I would never take pride in hurting anyone's feelings.
Yeah,
because even you can be the thoroughest, the toughest motherfucking female, your feelings get hurt too. So like, don't do that. But you can't. Why would you take pride in hurting somebody's feelings because you got your feelings hurt?
Yeah, that's not.
Find a nigga and hurt his feelings. I don't give a fuck what you do. Slash his tires if that make you feel better.
Not just slash his tires.
If that makes you feel better, like, you know, do something that makes you feel better about that nigga so you can get off him. But you can't treat every nigga the same because they're not the same. Even if you can say niggas ain't shit and every nigga think the same, or a guy will be like, well, all females think the same. We don't.
Right.
You're just used to that female.
Used to that
You're
person.
used to that nigga. That's your problem. Because what are you putting out there that's getting you attracted to these niggas?
Exactly. You put out
That's stupid.
You put out what you get back.
Exactly.
You laid that foundation.
You put all that shit into the universe and now it's coming back to you. You don't know what the fuck to do. So you think you got to be combative for it to get through it. And you don't. Because you can put a stop to that shit.
Right.
Stop putting the fuck out there. Like, I'm done dealing with these type of niggas. I need to do something. If you got to find yourself, center yourself, sis.
Right.
Get yourself together. And then you can be able to get to a new nigga. So you don't have to worry about ever being petty or hurting a nigga's feelings.
Right.
Or anything like that.
But you know what's funny? You know what's the foundation that chicks don't even realize they put out there? Like, if, say it's one of these meme pages, was it Justin Little Boy or one of those pages, and he'll post something outrageous. Niggas look at those. Niggas look at chicks who like those comments, like those type of posts, like those, because they gonna go right in there like, oh, so this is what you like. See, niggas probably shouldn't be saying it, but niggas put a whole game plan out there. They're like, oh, she like this, or a chick will say this. Oh, she like this. They'll follow your patterns. They'll see what you like. They'll tell you anything to get to you because they know you put that out there. You put this in your story. Oh, I gotta have such and such. The dude be like, oh, all right, watch this game I'm about to spend on her. Like, the dudes pay attention to that. So chicks, you might just think you liking a post, and you might just be. But it's gonna be a guy out there.
But that's
gonna try you.
There's something else in that quote as well. When it comes to meeting your match in somebody, that is a real thing. I'll give you a prime example when they keep talking about Stevie J and Faith Evans.
Right.
That he met his match in Faith because she's not the 1, the 2, or the 3.
Exactly. You know,
And
he was used to get away with a lot.
He's thinking he's gonna play with her like he hurt Mimi's feelings, or play with her like he was treating Jocelyn like she wasn't nothing but a stripper. When you married her and you had a kid with her and you said you was gonna give her a singing career and all this other stuff.
You came across a
and
woman that's got her.
A woman.
First of all, that situation was weird in itself, but we ain't gonna get into that. But yeah.
But you came across a woman. So that goes to the regular average Joe nigga or the regular average Joe female.
Right.
If you meet your match in somebody, sometimes it's not always bad, but it's what you put out there.
Right.
So if you know you put a lot of bullshit out into the world, then that karma is definitely gonna come back to you in one which way anyway. It's gonna come back to you.
Right.
So you should always be on the lookout for that. So when you meet your match, you might be thinking that this motherfucker is the best thing that ever happened to you, but it's just a mirror. It's just a mirror to exactly what you put out there, and now it's in front of you in human form, and it's giving you a piece of your own medicine, and you don't know how to handle it.
Exactly.
So the female that wrote that could have been somebody that met her match, but her matching herself.
Exactly.
And not the matching what she should be. So you met the matching yourself. So you have a mirror to yourself now. This
Chicks
nigga
don't like that.
He act just like you. He act just like you, and you don't like it because you can't handle it because motherfuckers can't handle
Sometimes
you.
chicks can't. Exactly. Sometimes chicks can't handle what they give out. So they get it back from a nigga, and now they like, got they match.
Now every nigga ain't on the earth ain't shit.
Because you met your match.
Bitch, that's your nigga,
Listen,
not my nigga.
Laying foundations. Put a bow on this show, Ash. What do we? Let's finish this show off. Tell these females when it comes to foundations and everything. Give them the wrap up.
I would say when it comes to foundations, you know, like I said, don't dim your light for anybody. But you also have to know what your standards come with and what you ask for you may so well receive. Yeah. And that goes for a guy as well. You, regardless of what you've been through, you can't think that the next person that approaches you will be the same.
Right.
So just stand your ground. You gotta stand 10 toes down on what you believe in, but you also have to know that everybody's not gonna like it and everybody's not gonna deal with it.
Absolutely.
So some of the things you might have to work on, some of the things you can keep the same. But like I said, fix some shit.
Exactly. Listen,
Yeah.
we trying to listen. We a self-improvement podcast. So make sure y'all get better episode by episode by episode. That's why we got these themes, because we gonna run it down. Like I said, when we get that, you know what I'm saying, get that the 2 cents line, we gonna have some fun with that too. Listen, but like we say, common sense ain't always so common. So, you put a little bit more smarts in the world, because it ain't always out there like you think. Appreciate y'all for listening. And that note, it's the boy Vance.
And it's Ash.
Make it
See y'all
make
next time.
sense. Come